Hello and welcome to TrojanVision Semester in Review, where we look back on all the news and events for the spring semester of 2023. I'm Paige Ray. Before the spring semester even started, Troy University remained busy celebrating students, specifically those in the nursing program. The celebration stemmed from Troy University's School of Nursing introducing a new student apprenticeship program. Emma Ellis has the story.
It's an event we generally associate with sports, a signing day. This time, though, student nurses were the ones putting ink to paper.
I am very blessed to have received this opportunity. I'm so grateful to be able to participate in this. I'm really excited for what's in store, and I'm really excited to learn new skills and be able to apply on the floor.
This opportunity comes as the School of Nursing launches its student apprenticeship program.
This is really an exciting day for us. I think most people are aware that there is a significant shortage of nurses, and coming out of the pandemic, we're feeling that even more so than before. So this opportunity to bring on board these apprentices and have them with us as they're going through nursing school is tremendous.
Not only will students be paid to further their education, they'll also have a better chance of finding a job post-graduation.
It would be our absolute privilege to hire them at our hospital. They have the opportunity to go elsewhere should they choose, but we are really hoping that we're going to create a strong relationship with them and that they'll want to stay with us.
This program comes at a time that local health leaders say is critical as healthcare workers continue fighting a healthcare worker shortage.
We have always been a little short on nurses, but it just really magnified with COVID. We saw naturally a number of nurses that unfortunately chose to do something differently during the COVID crisis, so we're still catching up from that.
As nurses work to meet the demand of people who need expert care, leaders at both Flowers and Baptist Health say this program and class is likely a step in the right direction.
This is a great partnership in between Troy University and Flowers Hospital, and really helping to solve a piece of the nursing shortage.
Emma Ellis, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Shortly after the beginning of the semester, changes to Troy University's weapons policy were announced. Thanks to state legislation, it is now legal to carry concealed weapons without a permit in the state of Alabama. In light of that legislation, Troy changed its own policy when it comes to weapons on any of its campuses. Emma Ellis explains.
Looking to conceal carry on campus? Think again.
Guns are not allowed on campus. Not in our buildings, not in our dorms, not out in open areas or public places.
But what about in our cars?
Guns are allowed in vehicles under certain specific conditions.
These conditions include keeping your gun hidden from view and locked in a secure compartment.
A locked glove compartment is okay. A small gun locker or gun box with a lock on it, gun in there, locked under a seat, hidden from view, fine. In a trunk, fine.
Not fine? In a middle console or anywhere that can't be locked. If an officer finds a gun that isn't secured, the consequences could be severe.
Suspension up to expulsion.
And those consequences will apply to everyone.
Students, faculty, staff, vendors, guests, visitors, anybody who sets foot on any Troy University property.
For more information about the updated weapons policy, contact the Troy University Police Department.
The university also beefed up its surveillance around campus with new cameras. Those cameras were installed at every entry and exit point on Troy's campus, meaning any person who walks or drives onto campus will be seen by campus police. Mackenzie Foster has that story.
Troy University's police department has made a new addition to campus that will provide a safer environment for students, faculty, and staff. Troy University now has 12 new traffic cameras installed at every entrance of campus. The new traffic cameras detect license plate information that will help the University Police Department determine when certain people enter and leave campus.
We'll get indications of sex offenders coming through, we'll get indications of violent offenders coming through, major felony type situation crimes. We also have the ability to add our own hot lists, so to speak, where the camera we will input certain license plate numbers from cases that we've worked.
The city of Troy and the university now have the same traffic camera system. The University Police Department took the initiative to get the same camera system after using the city of Troy's for a university incident that happened a few months ago.
The incident that we had with the gunfire over at Newman, for an example, a few months back, we were able to utilize their cameras to help us get license plate numbers for our suspect vehicles. So yeah, it was very beneficial for us to use that tool on the back end, on the investigative side.
And while some people may think that the new traffic cameras are for speeding drivers, Chief Beaudry wants people to know that the cameras are here for a bigger purpose.
These cameras don't detect speed at all. They have nothing to do with that. They won't be used in that purpose. These cameras will make reads of vehicles coming on campus. We will only use it from our end for an investigative tool. On the back end, on the front end, it's going to give us the indication that, hey, somebody that you're looking for is on campus. On the back end, we can also follow up and do some investigative stuff.
During the month of January, the country took time to remember the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In Troy, Dr. King's life was remembered for not just one day, but several. Emma Ellis tells us more about what was called MLK Days of Service.
The Civic Lab focuses on creating social awareness in the Troy community. Wednesday, they focused their efforts on cleaning up a local park.
A lot of people may not know that this little cute park exists here, but it's something that's very beneficial, as you probably can notice in the playground. Like, kids come to play, but we really want them to have somewhere clean, not very nasty to kind of play in, but have somewhere safe to be in.
This is a place where children can come together and play, but playgrounds can also collect a lot of germs and mold.
We noticed that in this park there were a lot of mold and mildew that was growing on these parks, so we wanted to take time out to grab some buckets, some soap, and really scrub down these playgrounds to get all of that nasty green mold and mildew off of the playgrounds.
This park cleanup, however, is not just what it seems at first glance. Through this event, the Civic Lab hopes to honor a historical figure.
The original thought process is to honor Martin Luther King's legacy of service. A lot of times his service goes unnoticed and passed in history, but he really made a really huge impact with even just small things that he did in his community.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "I have a dream that little black boys and girls will be holding hands with little white boys and girls." Today, the Civic Lab aimed to help in the realization of his dream by cleaning up Murphy Park to provide a safe environment for children to play together.
He served people so well, and I feel like considering he served people so well, we should serve others just as well.
Emma Ellis, Troy, TrojanVision News.
After this semester officially ends, several Troy journalism students could be one step closer to scoring a post-graduation job in the journalism industry. Representatives with Gray Communications, the second largest media company in the country, spoke with students about the industry and what they need to know before graduation. Simon Schusler has the story.
What are you selling?
Students in the Hall School of Journalism and Communication had a very unique opportunity this afternoon, and they got to taste two things: the adult world and pizza. News directors under media company Gray Communications from all across the region gathered here in Troy to review and recruit students to help them succeed in their post-college endeavors.
This is a program that gets students immaculately prepared for the real world, which, y'all ought to be thankful for the schooling that you get, because you will be one step ahead of folks when they graduate out there and the peers that you'll be working with.
Students were able to attend a lunch and learn event where they were able to hear from those in the profession, as well as being able to understand the industry better from an insider perspective. And students were also able to get their resume reviewed by the news directors themselves, giving them valuable insight on what they need to improve, as well as what their strengths are before they enter the workforce.
The resume reel is the most important thing that you've got if you're trying to get a job on the air in broadcast journalism. So getting that right when you come out of journalism school is very important. When you get the opportunity to talk to somebody who's got experience in the field that can tell you what they're looking for, it gives you a better opportunity to getting that first job once you graduate.
And although most of the attendees were in the journalism field, skills from other fields can translate into a successful career with the station as well.
Journalism majors are set up for success straight out of school, but we've got several people working at WTVY that did not major in journalism. And we've got a lot of opportunities where you can be very successful if you majored in something, for example, like communications. If you're great at video producing, every day we shoot, write, and edit video that we need to power our television station and the digital platforms that we serve.
If you want to learn more about Gray Communications and their affiliated stations, you can visit gray.tv. Simon Schuessler, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Groundbreaking research is happening here at Troy University. This semester, TrojanVision learned that a Troy graduate student made a new discovery at the bottom of the ocean. Not only does this new creature impact the scientific world, it also hits close to home. Kaylee Wright has this story.
What started out as a research for a thesis became a discovery. Madison Kennedy has been working on her marine biology thesis by studying mud dragons, microscopic animals that live in the bottom of the ocean. While she was studying these creatures, she discovered that a few of them appeared to be different from others she had seen.
They're very distinct under the stereo microscope, so when you're looking for them, they kind of have a retraction of segments 10 and 11 into segment 9, so they're very smaller. There are also no spines on the back. They don't have a lot of those cuticular features that you'll see on a lot of the other species that are native to the area.
Kennedy discovered Echinodaries zaccharii in the Gulf of Mexico. You might notice that the mud dragon has an interesting name, with Echinodaries being the genus and zaccharii coming from Kennedy's brother.
He had the most infectious and charismatic personality. He was basically my twin, but he was 2 years younger than me, so growing up he was just always my missing link, and he was always, we just had a very good relationship.
Kennedy's brother Zachary passed away from Ewing sarcoma, a rare kind of bone cancer, when Kennedy started her first semester of grad school.
I want to carry on his legacy, and I want to be able to bring him in because he is missing now. I want to be able to carry his legacy and continue talking about him, and what better way to keep his memory alive than naming something that will go far beyond our lives.
There have been several new discoveries of mud dragons in recent years, and Kennedy said that the ocean remains an untapped source of new discoveries.
You think about it, we think we know a lot, but we haven't even scratched the surface on a lot of these smaller phyla especially.
Kaylee Wright, Troy, TrojanVision News.
From science to the arts, a Pike County tradition returned during the spring semester, the 2023 Pike Piddler Storytelling Festival. It's a chance for traditional storytelling methods to be passed down to old and new audiences alike, and to show there's more to storytelling than meets the eye. Belle Johnson has the story.
On Saturday, the Brundage Historical Society presented the Pike Piddler Storytelling Festival. The event featured 3 professional storytellers who each told their tales in their own way.
This is a storytelling festival, and so we have an audience of people who come to listen, and then there are 3 of us who are the storytellers.
We just all have our signature styles. I live in Charleston, South Carolina, where this is how gentlemen dress. Somebody said, "I like your costume." And I said, "This ain't no costume. In Charleston, South Carolina, if you want to be taken seriously, you dress like a clown."
This is the 16th year the festival has been put on. While people may think they know what storytelling is, this type of storytelling is not as simple as reading a book to someone.
People who don't know what storytelling is think that maybe we're going to read Little Red Riding Hood to the audience, but that's not what we're going to do.
The festival featured performances by Donald Davis, Tim Lowry, and Bill Lepp. When asked what their favorite stories were, each had a different answer.
I like a little bit of folk, a little bit of history, a little bit of personal narrative. Every once in a while I throw in a literary classic.
I do have a favorite story. I actually have several favorite stories.
Oh, no, never a favorite story, because every audience is different.
Davis said he has 2 variables to consider when deciding what story to tell.
We're all going to look at that audience and say, wonder what would be the right thing to tell right now. And we're also dealing with time, because we have stories of all kinds of lengths.
Lowry told about his childhood and his dream of being in the circus. While Lowry loves what he does, he hopes one day to bring his act to the big top in the return of the Ringling Brothers Circus.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I always wake up every morning and tell God, I really want to be willing to do anything you would have me do, but I also want you to know I really love what I'm doing right now.
The Pike Piddlers Storytelling Festival will return in January of 2024.
If you've never been to storytelling before, I promise you're going to have a good time. If you have been, you already know that it is a good time.
Belle Johnson, Troy, TrojanVision News.
As some Troy residents listened to traditional storytelling, others heard from a literal out-of-this-world speaker. Kappa Alpha Psi held its third annual scholarship breakfast, where Dr. Bernard Harris, the first African-American astronaut to ever perform a spacewalk, spoke to the crowd. Kaylee Wright takes us there.
He's a retired NASA astronaut.
The Brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity were proud to welcome a fellow alum, Dr. Bernard Harris, who is a retired NASA astronaut and the first African American to perform a spacewalk.
The thing that surprised me about going into space, I think, was the view of the Earth on the backdrop of the sea of stars, because you could see it so clearly. And I realized in that moment that this didn't just happen, that there is a purpose, and in that purpose is a purpose for myself.
And he also explains that we are infinite beings with infinite possibilities, and he strives to inspire Black youth to find their purpose despite harmful stereotypes.
It's a way in which to uplift the community and uplift individuals so that they can, put those stereotypes aside and to realize that they have multi-potential, that they can do anything in life.
Dr. Harris also explained how his fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi, is helping high school students make their dreams into a reality.
Emphasize how important education is, particularly STEM education. And then we also have community events like the event here in Troy, where we're giving out scholarships to students and to organizations, in this case, 3 high schools.
This February, history was made here at TrojanVision. For the first time ever, Troy TrojanVision began offering additional resources for hearing impaired viewers. Jameson Fowler explains.
If you have a certain feature set on your TV, you may notice something different about our broadcast.
We now offer closed captioning on Troy TrojanVision, allowing our hearing impaired and hard of hearing individuals to be able to use closed captioning on their televisions to be able to experience what we offer on our channel.
The move comes after years of efforts to bring in new technology.
The first thoughts of trying to get this in place happened probably 4 or 5 years ago. It has been a multi-year process in finding the right piece of equipment that could handle the closed captioning.
The technology that now allows words to appear on your screen isn't simple. It relies on advanced artificial intelligence to make the closed captioning possible.
A computer basically uses voice recognition technology and is putting the words that are coming out of whoever's on screen's mouth and putting it on the screen there for us.
TrojanVision's closed captioning marks the beginning of potential new changes that could be coming in the future.
Eventually, we're going to be able to start sending high quality signal to people's homes. And this is part of that step. The technology that's in place for that is what allowed us to be able to put this equipment in line to offer the closed captioning for folks at home.
It's a change that Taylor hopes will show TrojanVision's dedication to staying on the level of commercial television stations.
We strive to get the technology to be where it needs to be so it's equal to what you can see anywhere else out there.
Although no date for a complete HD switch has been announced, TrojanVision hopes to make the switch by the end of 2023. Jameson Fowler, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Thankfully, that ended up not being the only update here at TrojanVision. Soon after introducing closed captioning, we also started broadcasting that high-definition signal. Kaylee Wright explains.
It's an exciting time here at Troy TrojanVision.
For the first time in our 47-year broadcast history, we are sending a high-definition signal to cable customers out in the viewing audience.
Of course, high definition isn't new for TrojanVision itself.
We've been shooting in high definition. The cameras in the studio are in high definition. The cameras we sent out in the field are in high definition. We've been shooting stuff in high definition forever.
The problem, previous technology and TrojanVision's master control couldn't get that signal to viewers until now.
It's been over a year, a multi-year process of rebuilding our infrastructure in order to be able to get a high definition signal out of here to people's homes.
What does that mean for you, the viewers at home?
It's going to be a crisper, clearer, more vivid signal.
But Aaron says that image would never have been possible without the work of one man, TrojanVision engineer Doug Gooden.
I have to brag on him because he had the technological know-how and tried to figure out and finally got us to a point where we can get this signal out. We've been trying to do this for years, and we finally got the signal out. Tuning in for the first time last night and seeing us in high definition was amazing. I've been here for 21 years, and we've been striving for this.
Right now, TrojanVision's high definition signal is only available for Troy cable customers. Taylor hopes the station will be able to expand that signal sometime in the future. Kaylee Wright, Troy, TrojanVision News.
February also saw the return of the annual Congressman John R. Lewis Leadership Conference. Each year, that event aims to help students develop the skills needed to lead others. Sienna Arnold has more.
For the 20th year, leaders from all across Alabama came together to educate and inspire Troy students and residents. One of those leaders was Elizabeth Dawson, who now works to help others build resiliency in their own leadership positions.
It is hard to show that you have needs or that you're vulnerable, but that's really what builds resilience. And so knowing that you're valuable and so important, and that you doing well is important to the whole community doing well.
According to Dawson, resiliency is a tool that all leaders need to possess.
It's a skill that we really have to learn and practice over time. So it's the ability to kind of bounce back and to have something difficult happen and then be able to take that experience and basically put it in our brain and our experience and make it into something good.
In addition to having personal resilience, Dawson said good leaders should also strive to help others develop their own resiliency.
We all have the potential to both be resilient and to build resilience in our community, and everything we do that reaches out to help our kids and our families and to provide safe, stable, nurturing relationships.
One student says she appreciates all the leadership opportunities that Troy University provides.
This campus is full on leadership, and they teach leadership and they encourage us to become leaders. I'm really working on myself, self-improvement, who I'm around, and as a college student, I'm trying to succeed.
Sienna Arnold, Troy, TrojanVision News.
A new apprenticeship in Troy marked the first of its kind in the state of Alabama. This semester, representatives from Troy's College of Health and Human Services, the Alabama Apprenticeship Office, and the Wellness Coalition joined together to announce a new partnership. Mackenzie Foster tells us more.
Troy University is officially the first in the state to have a registered community health worker apprenticeship program.
The apprenticeship will be where the trainees, the community health workers and future community health workers actually have their on-the-job learning experiences, and that's where the rubber meets the road.
The new partnership aims to train and place community health workers in underserved areas of Alabama to combat lack of access to medical care.
By providing opportunities for apprentices to earn while they learn, at the same time, we're also meeting needs where individuals will be able to get the healthcare needs met, whether they're medical healthcare needs, mental health, just meeting those aspects for those underserved communities.
The Community Health Partnership stems from a $3 million grant from the Health Resources and Services Administration of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services that was announced in October of 2022.
This is just the first step. So as we do this, we have certain areas that we're focusing on. We'll learn from that. Not only that, we'll improve it in those areas, but then we can take the lessons that we learned and apply that to different regions throughout the state.
Program leaders say students involved in the apprenticeship program will receive funding to help them complete the program.
Troy University also made strides in its effort to battle a mental health worker shortage across the country. It happened after the school received a grant to provide scholarships to a select group of graduate students, specifically those with a passion for mental health. Emma Ellis explains.
Recently, Troy University received a grant that will allow them to give scholarships to students pursuing master's degrees to become school counselors.
We are thrilled to be able to offer this scholarship opportunities to at least 30 school counseling students.
This grant will provide funding for those wishing to become mental health professionals in programs that may have traditionally been overlooked.
The school systems that were selected are rural, which means that they don't receive as much community mental health services as, say, someone in Auburn City may have access to.
Some may ask, why is it so important to have school counselors who are trained as mental health professionals?
Our young people spend more time in school than they do at home. And so as educators, we see the mental health concerns, we see the impact on attendance, we see the impact on grades. So it's important that they receive the mental health services as early as possible.
Crawford believes that this program will be mutually beneficial for the students and the schools because post-graduation, students will have a job at these schools.
Students will learn about curriculum. They will learn about lesson plans. They'll learn about comprehensive school counseling programs, but they will also learn the mental health side of things.
Emma Ellis, Troy, TrojanVision News.
This semester also saw Alabama's official poet laureate, Ashley M. Jones, right here at Troy University. During her visit to Trojan territory, Jones spoke with staff members and students. Emma Ellis takes us there.
Ashley M. Jones has accomplished many firsts in her life. As the first person of color to be poet laureate and the youngest poet laureate in the state of Alabama, she serves as the face of poetry for the state.
It didn't really occur to me until it was almost time for me to be selected, and I was like, oh wow, we really have almost made 100 years without any sort of diversity.
Jones frequently uses her poetry as an outlet to speak out about injustices in the world. And as a teacher at the Alabama School of Fine Arts, she believes that the best way to fight injustices is to arm people with the truth.
I'm a teacher, and I'm a teacher who really values the truth. I think that's the greatest gift we can give our students, is to arm them with reality. And I think it's really dangerous what we're seeing in certain states, what's being banned.
In Jones's most recent work, Reparations Now, she speaks about past and present hardships faced by the descendants of enslaved peoples in America. She has said that reparations mean addressing the injustices of the past to hold people accountable for today's actions.
I think actually learning history will allow us to see what's happening now. Part of the reason why people don't want us to learn the truth is because they want to keep doing what has been done. If you learn about Bull Connor, George Wallace, all the people who have done all the things, you'll be able to look at people you see now, like maybe the governor of Florida, I don't know, and see that he is perpetrating the same sort of crime.
To her, some of the most important things are empathy and compassion.
If we all just kind of take on the mindset that everyone who's having problems in our country should be our problem too, maybe we could move forward with more empathy and more compassion and more love.
From grants and conferences to annual music festivals, the 2023 Troy University Guitar Festival hosted musicians of all ages from around the country. Kaylee Wright tells us more about this year's event.
The familiar sound of classical guitar was heard on campus during the 2023 Troy University Guitar Festival. Young musicians came to campus to compete in the festival and listen to music from experienced guitar players. Though competing and listening to toe-tapping music was a huge part of the festival, education was the main objective.
It's also about the guitar education, since we have a large education component to this festival. So we bring in students from middle school age through high school and college, participating in master classes and in concerts.
The Guitar Festival is not only a learning experience for students of all ages, it is also a time for musicians to connect and talk about what they love.
I love sharing music. I think that's the most important thing. So whether that's just sharing music with myself or with other people in an intimate setting or in a larger concert venue. Yeah, it's good to hear people from all variety of places, playing a variety of repertoire and sharing in those experiences.
Since its first festival in 2012, the Troy University Guitar Festival brings musicians from across the nation together.
That's what it's all about, bring people from all over. We have visitors from Oklahoma and from Texas and from Mississippi and Georgia and Florida and just all over.
Gibson hopes that students were able to take home a fun experience and new techniques to work on. Kaylee Wright, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Staying in the month of February, Troy University recognized Black History Month. Toward the end of that month, students flocked to the main quad for an African American read-in, where they recognized all the Black writers they looked up to.
The Sigma Tau Delta English Honor Society celebrated Black authors with their annual African American read-in. The read-in was significant because passages from Walking with the Wind by John Lewis were read in front of the building named after him. Being that the name Lewis is significant to Troy's campus, recognizing who he is through his work is important.
Oh, it's just overwhelming that we are able to do this. It is just something that I feel we have to do every year.
I know why the caged bird sings.
Professors and students reflected on the words written by the boy from Troy, as well as references to him from other authors. Poetry and excerpts of stories from other Black authors were also recited.
So I read a poem called A Poet to His Baby Son by James Weldon Johnson, and it's essentially a poem by an African American man who tells his son that if he is intelligent at an extremely young age, that he should choose another career path other than a poet. And he kind of like talks about some of the issues of being a poet in that day and age.
Though a day in February is set aside to bring awareness and to celebrate African American authors, continuing to read their literature will broaden our perspective.
As someone who is an English major, I think that it's important for us to gain different views of the world from different people, because it helps you understand the universal human experience.
The month of February ended with challenges to President Biden's promise to forgive student loan debt, a major concern for several Troy students. Kaylee Wright gives us insight on what students thought about that plan and what might happen.
The future is uncertain for many college students, but one obstacle they must face is clear, and that is student debt. However, millions of student loan borrowers could receive up to $20,000 of debt relief if Biden's student loan forgiveness plan is approved by the Supreme Court.
I do think it would benefit the vast majority of college students and even people who have graduated recently.
Yeah, it benefited me a lot because, being a college student, student loans is something that I took out.
However, some students are skeptical if it will be approved at all.
But as far as it being passed or anything, I think there are certain levels that he has to go to that I think is probably not constitutional, so it might be overturned.
I don't think the Supreme Court is going to uphold it just because we are looking at a very economically conservative Supreme Court. And while I think that you could argue the constitutionality of it, that how they will see it they won't believe that it is constitutional.
Others believe that the president is not granted the power to make such a drastic decision. However, the HEROES Act that provided student debt relief to first responders during 9/11 allows aid to be given to individuals during unprecedented times.
The pandemic was unprecedented, so they might rule that, but I don't know. But nothing really gives you the power to give people things.
Could even potentially argue cancel debt for that 2 or 3 year period, but to say, okay, we'll wipe out all debt or $10,000, whatever it is, I personally think that that's quite a dubious value.
Kaylee Wright, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Speaking of President Biden, March saw the president right here in Alabama, in Selma, where he commemorated the anniversary of Bloody Sunday. Mackenzie Foster was there and has the story.
Over the weekend, President Joe Biden attended the 58th Bloody Sunday commemoration in Selma. It is a day that lives in infamy as people walk across the Edmund Pettus Bridge to reflect on the past struggles of African Americans and their fight for the right to vote.
Promise that declares
were all created and deserved to be treated equally. 2 weeks later, they marched to Montgomery with Dr. King and an even bigger coalition of people from different races and faiths. 5 months later, the Voting Rights Act was signed into law.
The pain and suffering that people crossing the bridge went through was another focal point in Biden's speech.
Walking, not saying a word, beaten, tear gassed. On this bridge, blood was given to help redeem the soul of America.
Biden also commented on how the people's right to vote is a right that he says is currently being attacked.
With it, anything's possible. Without it, without that right, nothing is possible. And this fundamental right remains under assault.
Biden has come to the Bloody Sunday commemorations in the past. However, this is his first visit to Selma as the President of the United States. Mackenzie Foster, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
March also marked International Women's Day. In honor of that day, the International Arts Center hosted Beauty for the Mind, an evening for music and poetry. There, female faculty and staff of Troy had the opportunity to share their love of the arts. Belle Johnson has the story.
Tuesday night, the International Arts Center hosted Beauty and the Mind in honor of International Women's Day. The event was presented by the College of Communications and Fine Arts, as well as the John M. Long School of Music.
The whole purpose is just kind of to connect and then to promote and the collaboration between our female faculty, not just inside the School of Music, also outreach to the female, especially international female faculty from the different departments.
The event was created last year after Dr. Young noticed how the pandemic isolated many musicians. She wanted to give women from all different departments a chance to share their love of the arts.
So last year I had kind of this crazy idea and then tried, the music and art and then the poetry work perfect together. So I kind of reach out to our female faculty and then come up with this crazy idea. And then just everybody just really over that, so we just started.
The talent that we have and the fact that these are mostly professors working with students and passing that on is just amazing, and I am so grateful and so happy to be reminded of the talent that we have.
Each presenter either sang a song, played an instrument, or read a poem about the beauty of women.
For tonight's event, I got to perform an original song that I wrote and played and performed on guitar, and it's called Cut Her Down. And it's really about sort of the concern about how we tend to cut people down as opposed to build them up.
Mrs. Hawkins hopes the events of the evening inspired and benefited those who attended.
I told my husband about what was happening tonight, and he started just reeling off all of these people that could benefit from being here. So I hope to pass some of that along and just make it possible for others to be a part of this.
Belle Johnson, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
After a jam-packed half of the spring semester, many students left Troy's campus for spring break. Some even left the country. That's the case for one of our Trojan Vision reporters, Emma Ellis, who spent her spring break traveling through Costa Rica with a university-based study abroad group. While there, Emma took time to detail all the places she went. Here's her story.
Many students use spring break as an opportunity to travel, but this past spring break, several Troy students traveled to Costa Rica with the Global Scholars Program.
The primary goal of this trip was to see how far we could go, what we could do on the budget of, or staying close to the budget of $1,250 that the university gives for the travel award.
However, this study abroad trip was different than many others, as students were responsible for planning many of their own activities, including transportation and who they would be going with.
We wanted it to be the case that students could break into groups and go and do different things. And so we scheduled it so that there were at least 8 blocks of open space. And during the travel study class, the students planned the majority of those.
Here in Costa Rica, Troy University students have had the opportunity to experience lots of culture and biodiversity.
The first day we went to Manuel Antonio and a waterfall, and that was just amazing to see all the nature and all the beauty that Costa Rica has to offer.
For many students, this was an opportunity for them to experience new perspectives and a different way of living.
I feel like it's just been good to experience a different culture and understand how other people live their lives, because I know when I live in when I'm not traveling a lot, I get so used to American culture and just forget that other people live differently from me.
As some people use travel as a way to relax, others may turn to nature. There's good news for those people, as Troy University's Arboretum will soon feature upgrades thanks to a new grant and lots of hard work. Simon Schuessler tells us how much money the space received and what community members can expect.
A familiar site at Troy University is getting some brand new additions thanks to grants received by various organizations.
We've gotten several other grants. The Wiregrass RC&D and Walmart Corporation have given us grants for doing things like this kiosk behind me, which will have trail maps and information on that. We'll also be working on restoring some of the habitats out here, like our pitcher plant bog and the wildflower meadow and the pollinator garden.
Another important project for the Arboretum is an outdoor classroom that allows for a more flexible learning environment.
We've gotten a grant from the Choctawhatchee and Yellow Rivers Watershed Management Authority for an outdoor classroom, which is located behind the building here. It's got seating and stainless steel tables that we can work on when we're collecting samples out of the pond or something that's too messy to go in the building.
Now, the Arboretum encompasses 75 acres of land as well as 7.5 miles of walking trails. There's also over 500 species of identified plants here at the Arboretum, and Dr. Diamond has been the head of it since 1987.
So we want to raise awareness of the plants that occur and the animals also that occur here in the Wiregrass region. We want to provide information about things that are rare, things that are threatened, but also other things like what kind of wood does this tree use for? Is this plant edible? Is it poisonous?
Students in the community are encouraged to visit the Arboretum to learn or just to relax and take in the nature. Those interested in visiting the Arboretum can do so at 101 Pell Avenue. Simon Schuessler, Troy, TrojanVision News.
If you listen to Troy Public Radio, you may have heard a new podcast this semester. It's the creation of a few Troy University students. Mackenzie Foster tells us more about Mad Melodies.
I hope you all have your headphones in or your speakers blasting, because this right here, this is Mad Melodies.
That's a sneak peek into what you might hear when you listen to Troy Public Radio's new podcast, Mad Melodies. The Mad Melodies creator, Marissa Lacey, says this podcast gives students a different kind of listen than they might be expecting from Troy Public Radio.
It's kind of become this platform where our students can promote their music, and we can play it live and give it all these different platforms to kind of hype them up. But we also discuss music, music culture, music history, and kind of just put in all this different types of music, creating diversity. I mean, Troy University is a diversity school, so why not show people music that they've probably never even heard of?
While Lacey is very passionate about this project, she realized there was more work than one could handle, which led to the podcast getting another host.
It was just me at the beginning, and it was really hard to do everything by myself, and Jalen was just so sweet that she was dedicating some of her hours here to just help me out. And eventually I was like, you know what, let me just make you the co-host. Let's do this together, because we have some great conversations about music, so that's kind of how she got involved with it.
Jalen Thomas is one of the many co-hosts of Mad Melodies, and she says she is very grateful for the opportunity the podcast has given her.
I'm very grateful because I never thought I would be able to get to do something that I truly love, which is listen to music and basically put people find different music like I have been doing since I was a kid. So this is a great opportunity for me as well as future students like myself.
With Lacey and Thomas being seniors, both of them hope the Mad Melodies podcast continues to grow when they're gone.
I hope everybody else be able to find new music through Mad Melodies like I have.
I mean, it just makes me really happy. I feel like it's going to be in good hands when I'm gone.
Mackenzie Foster, Troy, TrojanVision News.
This semester also brought big news for Troy School of Music. Recently, college leaders announced a brand new undergraduate degree for students interested in music industry. Sarah Campbell has that story.
On March 11th, the Populous Band was given the opportunity to perform in Nashville, Tennessee. There, a new major was announced to be offered at Troy University.
We are so fortunate here at Troy University to have introduced now 2
new degree programs that are focused in the music industry. We're finishing year 17 of our music industry degree in the John M. Long School of Music, and that degree is catered specifically to musicians, fully trained musicians who want to work in the music and entertainment industries. However, we have just started 2 new degree programs in the Sorrell College of Business. We have the very first Masters of Business Administration with a focus in music industry. Starting in the fall of 23, we now have an undergraduate degree in business focused in music industry.
These programs will teach students about the business side of music industry.
It is a blend of music industry. It is half music industry and music business and half true business courses focused in the fundamentals of business at the master's level. It creates a very unique opportunity for musicians and those interested in music and entertainment to come and get an MBA, the highly coveted MBA, in the only program that is an accredited School of Business program.
Music students will have the opportunity to gain firsthand experience for their future careers.
We have students working in all the major music centers. They are in Nashville. They're all over Nashville now. They're in New York. They're in Los Angeles. They're in Atlanta. They're in Orlando. And they're working in all phases. Some of them are musicians. They're writing songs, and their songs are being recorded. They're performing on major stages. There are students that are working on the business side. They're working in marketing and public relations. They're working for instrument manufacturers. We have film composers that are actually writing and music for film and television.
Smith says that music industry is the fastest growing area of music education. At Troy, the opportunities are endless.
As I tell every student coming here, there's a reason you come to Troy University. You know, you don't need a degree to work in the music industry. So why are you here? I'll tell you why you're here, because you're studying with professionals who don't just talk about this, we do it. We work at it every single day. And what you'll learn in 1 year at Troy University is going to take you 4 to 5 years on the street. As a result, your 4-year degree is going to be a 20-year head start in your career. That's Troy. Visionary leadership, lead change. That's the epitome.
Sarah Campbell, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Staying in the world of music, March brought the birthday of Troy-based composer and musician Dr. Carl Vollrath. Kaylee Wright tells us more about who Vollrath is and what he's been up to after turning 92 years old.
He is a former Troy professor, a published composer, has an archive on campus dedicated to preserving his music, and he just turned 92 on March 26th. His name is Carl Vollrath, and his music has been performed by renowned musicians, particularly for clarinet.
I found the clarinet has many different sounds to it. You know, the instruments that led to the clarinet have many different sounds to it.
His pieces, Pastimes 1 and 2, embodies the creativity and unique techniques that he incorporates in his music. One of these techniques is playing the natural fingerings for a note, but wiggling one of the keys.
So instead of da, you get whoa, 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 whoa. It's sort of another tone coming, and not just da, 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 not a tremolo or trill, but something much lower or higher, getting out there and getting all these strange sounds.
He also has the musician not put their bottom lip on the reed, which is not the traditional way of playing the clarinet.
So the reed is free to vibrate, and you get this raspy sound, ah!
And after all these years, he is still composing music. His current inspiration is the beauty of Bellingrath Gardens.
It's not just one garden, there's several gardens. The Asian garden, azalea gardens, a lake garden, and so on and so forth. And we went down there and I fell in love with them.
He hopes that his music will inspire others to value the garden's beauty and it will become a state park. Kaylee Wright, Troy, TrojanVision News.
As the semester started to wind down, Troy professors had a chance to get creative with cooking at the Cook Your Way competition. Belle Johnson gives us a taste of how the Trojan Dining Hall transformed into a cooking arena.
Departments of Troy University turned up the heat Thursday night at the Cook Your Way cooking competition.
So this is a mystery ingredient cooking competition that Troy Dining puts on every single year. This year we're doing the Professor Edition, and these are all departments from Troy's campus, teachers that your students may or may not have.
Teams had a choice of 2 types of secret ingredients, one being a concentrated cold brew coffee given by Fuse Coffee from downtown Troy, and the second being 3 types of vegan cheese. This competition served as a rematch of sorts from last year.
All of our teams are actually returning teams from last year's competition, so they're all kind of trying to vie again, do like a rematch of sorts for the trophies that we have, which are actually personalized cutting boards.
Businesses from around Troy, including Fuse Coffee, Sips Beer Garden, and West Walnut Cookie Company, sponsored the event and even provided some raffle prizes for students. Cerulli hopes this event will be a good way for professors to get involved more on campus outside of the classroom.
I think that we need to probably ask our professors a lot more to be involved in stuff because they are looking for good reasons to be involved with the students, to be involved on campus and stuff like that. And this is just one of those really good opportunities for them to come out and have fun.
It's just great to see everybody from different departments come together and have a friendly competition and kind of, egg each other on. But also it's team building and it's just a lot of fun.
Belle Johnson, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Also during the month of April, Troy's National Panhellenic Council and its organizations were finally given an official space to call their own. Parker Flowers has that story.
After months of waiting, Troy's National Panhellenic Council and its organizations now have an official space to call their own. Saturday morning, members of Troy's historically African-American Greek letter organizations and university leaders met atop the north side of Troy's campus to dedicate a space that is meant to honor Troy's Black Greek organizations.
It makes me kind of emotional because it's just nice because each and every single one of us works so hard, the community service and all the different activities that we do, countless nights, early mornings, and just, really to just be able to come to campus and just see a spot that just represents us.
With the new space comes expectations of pride and respect, expectations that Chancellor Dr. Jack Hawking says will be required.
This is a reverent place, and we want our Greeks to recognize that. When they come to this place, we want them to be respectful of their heritage. We want them to represent the best of good citizenship.
Representation plays a big part in the newly dedicated plaza, especially for current and future NPHC members.
The representation is huge, especially for others that's already graduated and for others to come. Even though, we all have different organizations, we all represent, similar morals. It really just, resembles, it gives us a place, for the D9 organizations to be able to come to Troy University and call our little spot our home.
A plaza that was a long time coming, finally set in stone. Parker Flowers, Troy, TrojanVision News.
As NPHC groups celebrated their permanent mark on Troy's campus, several members of Trojan Athletics were enshrined forever in Troy history too. Simon Schussler has that story.
In honor of a lifetime. Over the weekend, several important figures in Trojan Athletics history were enshrined forever in the Troy Sports Hall of Fame.
Very excited. Wondering was it true or somebody was playing a joke on me, but it was very exciting. It was just overjoyed me.
There were 7 total inductees in the 11th ever class, which included Mike Amos, who was a member of the 1965 and 66 football teams, as well as being an ardent supporter of Trojan Athletics for the last 50-plus years, Cheryl Busby, who blocked 23 punts in his 4-year career before becoming the first Trojan to play in the NFL, Rodney Donaldson, who was known for his presence on the baseball diamond as well as on the hardwood for the basketball team, Chris Force, who led the Troy women's golf team to 3 Division II national championships, Carl Hollis, who ended his career as the leading scorer in Troy basketball history, Barbara Sherwood, who is also a dominant catcher for the Trojan softball team, while also playing volleyball for her various roles as coach after her career, and Mark Smart, who won 2 national titles as a baseball player for the Trojans before serving as Troy's head coach for 5 years.
The facilities were good back then for Division II athletics. They're fabulous now. This arena speaks to it. It's fabulous. The baseball facility going through a great renovation now. It's going to put it at the top of the curve in the Sun Belt Conference. The football stadium is fabulous.
Attendees to the banquet were treated to a meal before watching a video honoring each inductee as they were enshrined. The voice of Trojan Athletics, Barry McKnight, served as host, and Chancellor Hawkins gave a speech honoring Troy Athletics and all of their inductees.
This town is growing and is excited. The fans and the students are excited, and it's growing growing and growing and growing. Look out, people, here comes Troy.
Simon Schuessler, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
Unfortunately, the end of the semester brought a mass shooting in Dadeville, Alabama. It left several people dead and even more hurt. In light of that shooting, communication students learned how to cover similar tragedies. Jamison Fowler explains.
Troy Public Radio's Kyle Gassett talked with Troy journalism and communication students about the recent mass shooting in Dadeville. He also talked about how to ethically and mentally handle those situations.
I was asked by Professor Robin Taylor to speak to students in the Hall School of Journalism and Communications, where I also teach as an adjunct faculty member, about my experiences reporting in mass casualties. This past weekend I was reporting in Dadeville, Alabama, the mass shooting that happened there. I've also reported other incidents such as the tornado in Selma. So it's been a couple of reporting trips where there have been things to think about in terms of being on the scene and experiencing what you have to do as a reporter.
Although a journalist's job is to get the news out to the public, Gassett believes journalists should have a sense of humanity when reporting in the field. Gassett also described how journalists should handle themselves while working in the field and how to preserve their mental health at the same time.
One thing I think that everybody needs to remember is that you don't want to leave your humanity at the door. We're humans telling other human stories. So you want to think about that when you're out there talking about loss of life and those who are affected by that, and also what it means for the community. So to be a voice and to be a human telling that, I think is the most important thing that we can remember as a journalist.
By sharing his knowledge and skills, Gassett hopes future journalists and communication students can be better prepared to hone their craft and also maintain an ethical and healthy mentality. Jamison Fowler, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
We end our broadcast with good news, as two Troy students recently won their categories in the Society of Professional Journalists Mark of Excellence Awards. They competed against hundreds of students ranging from Florida to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Soon they'll compete nationally. Kaylee Wright has their story.
I like this.
Radio can be regarded as transportation to untold stories. And two Troy students, Jalen Thomas and Jared McBride, have earned Society of Professional Journalists Mark of Excellence Awards for doing so.
It's like woke up one morning, got like a text message from Kyle Gass. It was like, hey, you won an award. And I was like, nice.
I don't think he told me I won, so I just thought I got nominated for like the region part, and then I actually like looked at like what the award says, like when it says like region, like the region. I was like, dang.
Thomas told the spine-chilling story of Robert, a seemingly innocent doll who has a tendency to wreak havoc on those who photograph him without permission, and another story about a haunted house.
They had me stay in this particular booth where I had to give my reaction in the dark. And I am naturally afraid of the dark. You listen to scary stories. It was so thrilling, but at the same time, so nerve-wracking.
McBride shared what he learned about the Clotilda, an infamous slave ship found outside of Mobile.
I've been in Mobile most of my life, so I didn't know about the Clotilda at all. And I had to talk to people that made documentaries on it, and then not only watch the documentaries, but I text the people that made the documentaries. We had conversations. If you go to the store, we pull some clips from the documentary.
And that's our semester in review. All of us here at Trojan Vision appreciate your support over the past few months. Our students look forward to enjoying their summer break and then returning back to Trojan Vision at the end of May. Our first nightly broadcast will be Wednesday, May 31st. Again, from all of us here at Trojan Vision, thank you. We'll see you soon.
All dream, but dreams quickly become distant memories unless we do something about it. Do everything in our power to learn to lead. At Troy University, we teach everyone to be leaders in their field. We're dedicated to teaching a new generation to lead change.
a lot can happen in a day. So when you're ready to know more than just what's happening, we'll bring you the voices who can tell you why.
This is All Things Considered.
Listen every afternoon, 3 to 5:30 p.m. on Troy Public Radio.